Hey creative friends, welcome to my channel, and here we are with another Bean Bonanza video. I love this Bean Bonanza collaboration. It is genius because it's making us all think of other ways to use dried beans. So it's nice to know other things that you can do with things from your pantry than, your traditional things. And there's been so many amazing recipes that you just can't believe how cool the recipes are. Be sure and go down in my description. There will be a link to everybody who's participated in this collaboration so that you can get all of those awesome recipes. So the recipe I'm going to be doing today is called a crazy cake, and I got this recipe offline years and years ago, and I don't even know where, but I will put a printable recipe for you. There's some variations to it, so this is mine, but I'll put a printable recipe in the description if you want to print this out. But what this is going to use is, I know that if you watch the other videos and if you've used bean stuff before, you may know that you can substitute bean puree for oils when you're baking. So you would use a lighter bean, maybe a pinto or a northern bean if you're doing a lighter cake. But this is a chocolate cake, so I'm actually using some of my light red kidney beans. And all I did was take a cup of these and I put them in my Instant Pot and I cooked them so they're ready. And sometimes, if I'm really feeling productive, I'll do like a pot of Instant Pot bunch of beans, or I'll soak them just to prepare them and get them cooked and then freeze them. And then I've got them in 1 cup increments in the fridge or the freezer so that I can pull them out and puree them and use them in things like this. But I'll go over the ingredients for you. Clearly, I have beans. I actually have pureed these, and this is 3/4 of a cup of the pureed, cooked, light kidney beans, because that's what I had handy. Now you could use black beans in this, and that'd be awesome too. I also have 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, a teaspoon of salt. I'm getting these off my little thing for you, and 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And now here's the change. It's 2 cups. Generally it's 2 cups of sugar, but I'm trying to cut back on things I use sugar in. So instead of sugar, this is a test, I'm going to try this new Splenda 0-calorie sweetener. I just want to see how it turns out in this. So hopefully it doesn't ruin my cake. I've never used it before, so this will be new. There's also going to be a couple teaspoons of vanilla and 3 cups of flour. Then there's 2 cups of cold water and 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So that's all the ingredients. And basically what's going to happen is, I've got this 9 by 13 pan. I like to use the clear one because I'll need to look through in the corners and make sure that this is mixed up and there's no dry spots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the dry ingredients, which will be the cocoa, the baking soda, the sugar, the flour, and the salt, in one of these little sifter things. My mom used to use this all the time, and I don't see people really use them that much anymore to sift your baked goods in there. I'm going to go ahead and put putting little bits at a time in here. And then I'm going to get some of this sifted. So this is just going to sift it all out so that it's nice and smooth, like it's all mixed together. It's all super well blended. And now that cocoa. But what's going to happen is I am going to mix this, and then I will swirl it around to make sure it's all really well mixed. I just want it to go through this little sifter. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. If you don't have one of these, I'll see if I can find one, and I'll put the link to it in my description if you want to buy one. But what happens is it really mixes up your dry ingredients really well. So now I'm going to keep doing this, and actually once it's through, I'll bring it back and show you how I'm going to put it through a little bit. I've got some more sugar and I want to kind of mix it well. So I'm going to go ahead and work this. You don't need to watch me because that's all you're going to watch. So let me get this mixed and then I will come back. Okay, I've got that all sifted, but I want to show you, if you don't have one of those, you could also use a very fine sieve and just, put it in there and kind of do that. Same thing. It's just running it through there, and what it's doing is breaking up the tiny little clumps because you want it to be very smooth for this recipe. So, there you go. So you could do that also. Okay, now what it says for me to do is to take my fork and mix this so that it's all one color. See how there's some white in there, and then there's the chocolate, and you can tell that it's not really well mixed. So I'm going to take this fork and I'm going to work through this and kind of swirl it and make sure that it's all one nice color, and then I will come back to you. All right, there I go. I've got that all mixed, and one of the nice things about running it through the sieve is that everything is kind of the same consistency, so that it blends really evenly and really nice. So now all I'm going to do is I've got these 4 ingredients left. I've got the beans, the vanilla, the water, and the vinegar. Now I'm going to make 2 little divots in here. I'm going to make kind of a divot right there, like a little pocket for the beans, and here's a little pocket for the vanilla. So, and all the mixing is going to be done with this fork. I'm not going to beat it at all. So now I'm going to take those beans, and I'm going to put these pureed beans right there in that little divot. And this is 3/4 of a cup. If you wanted to, you could just simply use 3/4 of a cup of an oil, but the point of this is the bean bonanza. So we can't do that. So let me get this off here. So there we go. I could use pinto beans in here too if I wanted. That wouldn't be bad. And you don't taste them. That's the thing. You're not going to taste the beans. And now 2 teaspoons of vanilla goes in this little divot. And if I spill, that's okay because I really like vanilla. Okay. And you know, I just think there's something about homemade chocolate cake, even if it's made with beans. All right, now that's set aside. I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to take the cold water and the vinegar, and I'm going to mix them. Pour these together and give them a good mix. And then I'm going to pour this over the top of this cake. And see the vanilla, and it's going to mix nice, and this is going to give it moisture. And of course, the vinegar and the baking soda is going to give it a little bit of light. It's going to kind of fuzz up. There we go. So now I'm just going to mix this, and this is why I like to use this clear cake pan, this 9x13, because this way I'm now going to use the fork. I'm not going to beat it. I'm just going to use the fork and mix everything really well and mix those beans in. So see how this is going? There we go. We're going to do this until it's all mixed really well, and you cannot see any, there's no like little dry pockets. But we don't want to beat it. You just kind of want to keep mixing it until it's well mixed. And you can see it's kind of foaming up there. So it's going to be a real light cake. Going to be yummy. So I'm just going to keep mixing this, and I'll bring you back when this is thoroughly mixed without beating it. So that's all I'm going to do is keep doing this till it's kind of like that throughout. So I'll be back in just a couple minutes. I'm going to show you when I'm going around the edge, I kind of go around and fold it in and catch those dry pockets, and you can see the liquid runs down there, so that's easier to try to catch those little corner pieces, those dry pockets. We're just going to keep mixing this around. You want it so that, see, this is light liquidy, and in here it's thicker. You want to just keep kind of working it so that it's all the same consistency like a cake batter. So I'll keep doing that. It should just take a couple minutes. But, ooh, it smells all chocolatey and yummy already. And then what's going to happen, I've preheated the oven to 375, and once I have this all incorporated well, I'm going to put this in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour, until a toothpick in the center comes out clean. And the other thing is, you can make a chocolate frosting and put on here, any kind of frosting if you want. You can make like one of those German chocolate frostings, or you can get a can of frosting. I don't care. But you can also just let it cool and sprinkle a little powdered sugar on top. That would be awesome. Or a little whipped topping on top of it. Either way, it's going to be so good. Alright, so let me just finish this up, and then I'll be right back. Alright, I've got it all mixed. I lifted the pan up and looked underneath to make sure there were no little pockets of dry ingredients, and there's not. So now all I'm doing is going around and making sure that any of the liquid that has settled maybe in a corner is worked in well. And then, you know, I was just thinking about something. I wonder if you could put nuts in here. Maybe some coconut, nuts, I don't know. I just know that it's awesome that you don't have to use oil. And I'm hoping that Splenda for baking works nicely. Just to try to cut back on so much sugar. And of course, this is going to be amazing. If it works out well, I'm excited. I'm just going to clean along the edges. I always like to try to run something around the edge so that there's not like icky on there. Okay. All right, there we have it. I'm just going to, there we go. Now, I'm going to put that in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour at 375. See that? So good. So I'm going to bring you back when I take this out of the oven and we'll see how it turned out. There we have it. I just took it out of the oven. The little timer went off. And I probably could have taken this out a few minutes early, but see, it's all clean. So, ooh, it's nice. But I'm going to let it cool before we cut it. So as soon as it's cool, we'll eat dinner and stuff, and then it should be done and cool, and we can come and do a taste test. All right, I went ahead. It's not completely cool, but I went ahead and cut some of it because I'm cooking dinner and I wanted to kind of get this out of the way. And so I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it's, I left it in probably 5 minutes longer than I should. Usually it's awesome. And it is not as sweet as generally it is because I use that, I think it's because I use that Splenda, but it's made for baking. But it just isn't as sweet. And you know, it reminds me, when we lived in Japan, the baked goods were just beautiful. They'd have these amazing looking cakes, and then you'd go to taste them, and they weren't as sweet as what you would expect. So it's kind of like that. You think it's going to be a real chocolatey sweet cake, but it's not. But I think that has to do with the Splenda. So if you added regular sugar, it'd probably be a lot sweeter. But it's kind of got a dense texture to it, but it tastes good. It tastes like a little chocolatey, little cakey, super good. I like it. You can't taste the beans. Can't taste them at all. But it's actually really good, and it's got a heavier texture, kind of like a brownie, but not as heavy as, it's like a brownie cake. But yeah, I would say the only thing that's different about this than when I've done it before is that it's not as sweet, and I think it has to do with that Splenda. But anyway, there you have it. Another recipe that you can use your beans from your pantry in. And I hope you guys give it a try. If you have any other recipes like this, let me know because I'd love to try them. And as always, make sure you go check out everybody else's channels and their videos for this Bean Bonanza collaboration. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.